If only men knew how many women have fantasies about becoming widows. I found this out when doing my reporting for my viral article for Harper's Bazaar. This one, men have no friends and women bear the burden. More on this in a second. But it was this video that made me think about it, because she made a whole video about how many women fantasize about their husbands just dying because it's easier. It's easier than a divorce, or seemingly so, right? There's not a custody battles. There's not, just divorce battles. There's not like money fights. There's not all of the social stigma of leaving your husband, especially if he's now older and getting sick, and he wants you to be his hospice wife, because of course they do, but they would never return the same energy. All of these reasons why a lot of women just fantasize about their husbands dying, because, leaving them has major consequences. One of them being financial, of course. A lot of women really can't afford to leave their husbands because the men convince them to, I'm going to let you stay at home and do all that labor for free and have no social security, no retirement, no savings, nothing. Your whole future hinges on him not leaving you for a younger woman, or literally anything. Just start a whole new family. Him being attracted to you, wanting to be with you, all that stuff. Good luck, right? So then I saw this video from a mutual, and she has such great points in this video. I'm gonna link it on YouTube and tag her on TikTok. Can't link videos in TikTok anymore. And I want to talk about what she discusses, and it's so right on. These conversations are so important for women to be having, for women to understand why they are not leaving husbands that treat them like crap. Like, who could? It would be very hard, but could. I want to talk about that in a second, but first I want to talk about the whole widow fantasy before I get to the why. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Melanie Hamlet. I've got like 60 something articles out there, journalist, comedian, all kinds of things, storyteller. And if you want to find my personal stories and more of my work, Patreon is where to go. We have a lot of fun over there. But let me go over this article, or just parts of it, because the whole men's group part is like I'm not even going to mention that. Now, I just briefly talk about in the top of this article, one of the main reasons why men don't have friends is they don't have to. If they, continue to buy into patriarchy, they become stoic robots, don't do any of the emotional labor, none of the social stuff they need to be doing. They literally, their wife becomes their only friend, especially the older they get, and especially once they retire. Good luck retiring with these forkers. They don't have any friends. The only friends they have are through work or their hobbies, which at a certain point they're not going to be able to do those hobbies. So you are stuck alone with them, and they want you to entertain them and all this stuff. Like, so many women were miserable, and that's why great divorces happen. But anyway, while women are out there continuing, unless they don't have any time for it because the men are so exhausted, exhausting them so much, still women will somehow continue to be involved in like PTA if they have kids or something. Like, they're always like involved in like child communities, right, with other moms, at least, hopefully, or whatever. And so what men do is they make women the one and only one, like best friend and all that stuff, but also like do endless labor for free. So it's actually a terrible, terrible deal for women. They cast their wives as girlfriends to play their best friend, lover, career advisor, stylist, social secretary, emotional cheerleader, mom, schmegs worker, unpaid. I should have put that in there. Mom to him, their future kids, or both, and also to his parents, and eventually an on-call therapist minus the $200 an hour fee or whatever it costs now. This form of emotional gold digging is not only detrimental to men, it's exhausting an entire generation of women. And so that's why I just started discussing emotional gold digging and all that stuff. And then I talk about one of the other things that women are doing, not only to work on themselves, but also because they're also kind of diagnosing their husbands with stuff all the time because they won't go to the doctor or the therapist. And they're also investing an enormous amount of time in podcasts, books, TikToks, YouTubes, all this stuff to try to get these men to just do something. Like, please, like, to either, for their own self-improvement or to save the marriage, because saving the marriage is like a full-time job for so many women. So many women. It's like not only like to keep the family together, but just to save the marriage, because it is constantly at risk. Because the men are acting like they don't want to be in it, just benefit from all of it, but they don't actually want to be in it. Some of them literally hate their wives. They love the labor, hate the wife. Love their kids, but love the legacy of kids, hate parenting, don't even like spending time with their children, right? That is what entitlement does to people. That's what entitlement does to people. Whichever demographic you're talking about, dehumanizes you and turns you into just like the worst version of yourself when your life is on easy mode like that, in terms of someone else doing stuff for you that they shouldn't have to do and you not even appreciating it. So I talk about here, men will not lean on anybody else. They won't like work on themselves. Across the spectrum, women seem to be complaining about the same thing. While they read countless self-help books, listen to podcasts, seek out career advisors, turn to female friends for advice and support, or spend a small fortune on therapists to deal with old wounds and current problems, the men in their lives simply rely on them. That's it. And I would argue that all these things that I just listed below are also all the things that women are doing to save the marriage. Some women are so exhausted by these men, which I'm going to go into my mutual's story in a second, because that was her. She couldn't have time to work on herself at all, because everything was to keep the family together and save the marriage. So all these things, the podcast, the books, a lot of women can't even do that for themselves, because saving the marriage, keeping the family together, trying to make this thing work that doesn't seem to be working, it is a full-time job. Meanwhile, a lot of these women are stay-at-home moms who have no income but work nonstop. And then in addition to that, do all this to try to make sure to keep the family together, because they're so vulnerable. Other reasons too, but because they have to keep this family together. So one of my favorite people that I interviewed was Lindsay. And honestly, her interview, I was so touched that she was so honest with me in this interview. I thought it was so brave. And I was so glad I asked the questions I did, because the things that she admitted to me, I think a lot of us can see ourselves in this. Remember, we're all on the spectrum here. This is how women have survived patriarchy for a very long time. Some of us are still thinking this way, even when we don't have to. She said she jokingly calls herself everyone's beck and call girl. Not only does she take care of her husband and children, she just moved in with her mom to take care of her as well, because she knows her brothers won't. Both recently divorced. Her brothers are already turning to her, but never to each other, to provide the support their wives used. With all this spare time, all this energy, they could help each other, they could help the mom. But no, what do? They decide to burden their sister with more labor. I'm going to use this format now. It's easier. Men drain the emotional life out of women. I love them, but good Lord, they've become the bane of my existence. I'm from Nashville, so sorry, I had to do that. Johnson admits, this is what I love. This is what I love that she admitted this. This is what we need to do. We need to admit this. I had to admit this to myself on multiple occasions, because I caught this within me. This is what kept me in an abusive relationship. She admits she enables her brothers by saying yes all the time, partly out of guilt, but also partly because she loves being needed, to feel important, she explains. It's a catch-22. It eventually becomes too much, and I end up exhausted and resentful. Boy, if there weren't two perfect words to explain how so many women married to men feel right now. Like Johnson, most of the women I spoke to for this piece believe that their ego and self-worth are often wrapped up in being a man's crush, or being needed, being useful, right? What would they do without me? That's that mother thing they teach us to do. But the older women get, the less willing they seem to be a man's everything. Why? Well, partly because they're tired. They've got too many responsibilities. Not only just aging, right, and all this crap with that, and menopause after perimenopause, and, just health issues. Especially if you've had a man in your life who's done nothing but add stress. Providers of stress and trauma. Protectors of what? Their ego and other men. But they're busier than ever taking care of their spouses, ailing friends, grandchildren, parents, doing a little volunteering on the side too somehow. So women are super tired, right? Men haven't put any effort into friendships or maintaining like any community really for all the reasons I already talked about. The guys at work are the only people other than me that my husband even talks to. So when some of these men retire, they expect their wives to be their source of entertainment and even get jealous that they have a life, right? Johnson jokes that women her mom's age, so that'd be women my mom's age, seem to be waiting for their husbands to die so they can finally start their life. I'll get a call saying so-and-so kicked the bucket, and sure enough, his widow is out on a cruise around the world a week later with her girlfriend. How many widows do you know who've said, oh, I'll never marry again? Where do you think that's from? If they had a good marriage, it's because they know they got lucky. Because it's so hard to find men who don't live and who don't treat women the way the ones I'm talking about do. But most of them have had terrible marriages. Even if it wasn't terrible, it wasn't abusive or any of that stuff. They're just exploited. They were exhausted. And they're like, you know what? TikTok, buddy. I only got so many years to go traveling. And then as soon as they die, boom, they're gone. Whereas when the wife dies first, which is why you should not. This is not a good plan because a lot of times you will die first from autoimmune diseases or just the stress of being with these men. But when the wife does die first, what does he do? He either dies of a broken heart, i.e. too lazy to take care of himself, or has a girlfriend or a wife right away, within weeks, days, months, but soon. Anyone to take care of him because he doesn't want to take care of himself. Why would he? It's hard. It's hard keeping someone alive. But unlike a lot of our mothers, Gen Xers, millennials, and continue as time goes on, are holding their partners accountable. And they're like, either you change now or we're done. I'm not waiting until you die to start my life. But here's the scary part, okay? The longer you are in these relationships, the harder it is to leave for multiple reasons. But the one I want to talk about right now is what my mutual is talking about. And that is being completely lost. Utterly lost once you get out. No more sense of purpose. No more busy. Oh my God, I can barely breathe because I'm drowning in endless labor. Endless labor. Because he doesn't know the teachers, he doesn't cook, he doesn't clean, he doesn't do anything, he's not involved. Like these moms are doing so much to keep it together and to keep their marriages together, especially if they're stay-at-home moms, that once they finally do get out, and I think it's worse for stay-at-home moms for multiple reasons, but one of them is because they don't have a job outside of the home where they're hanging out with other adults all the time. And usually if they are hanging out with other adults, it's usually with adults with other children around or whatever. So they don't get to be in community very often with other adults having conversations, just adult conversations, without having to have one eye on a kid or having to talk about a kid or whatever. And so they don't know who they are. They used to maybe, unless they've just been dating their entire life and never had a moment alone. Because I swear these men will hijack you into, like, they will make you center them. Unless you have super strong boundaries and resist and refuse. Even the most evolved man will try to do it a little bit. Doesn't even realize he's doing it sometimes. They will all are just, that's the water they swim in. Same with whiteness, white supremacy culture. We're doing stuff. We're like, it is so, it's just how it is, and we don't question it, right? And so they just gonna do like whatever until you're like, no. I'm not doing that. Because they saw their moms doing it, or they saw whatever. They saw it in the movies or TV or whatever. And it never occurred to them, maybe I should do this for myself. Right? And so the longer you're in a relationship with a man or multiple relationships with a man and never been alone. Right? Now, I know some women can't afford to live alone. I know there's a lot of situations. There's cultural things like where like you're forced to marry. There's all kinds of situations. But when and if you actually do have the choice to not be coupled with a man, and even have the opportunity to live alone or live with other roommates or whatever. So many women, unless they have that, they don't know who they are. They've never been given that opportunity, especially if they grew up in the church and especially if they were married super young, right? That's one of the reasons why, like, I didn't get married till 42. I know how to be alone. I've been alone most of my adult life, and it can be very lonely sometimes, obviously. I will never deny that. But I loved my single life. I knew exactly who I was. And I changed all the time because we evolve, right? I'm a climber now. Oh, now like art and TV and like film and all that stuff is more my thing now. But I had endless time to pursue my hobbies. I just went after whatever job I wanted to do. I was like, I want to become a raft guide. Why not? I see men doing it and they don't know what they're doing. I was just like, I want to try this. I worked for the census. I was a strawberry picker in Argentina. I was just like, what random thing that seems fun? And then I just figured it out, I'd heard like woofing. I was like, what's that? Oh, you mean you can live on a farm, work 6 hours a day, I think, get fed and get free housing in other countries? Okay. I have a lot of privilege, American passport, white privilege, able-bodied, white woman, right? So a lot of people don't even have this opportunity solely because they don't have access, right? But so many women do not have the opportunity because they are tied to men. And because it's so scary to picture a life where everything you've been forced to center is removed now, right? That's why once the kids are grown, a lot of women, they don't have empty nest syndrome. They just miss having a purpose. They miss being important to somebody because the people they were the most important to are gone. And this forker who hates you, you're important to him, but he also resents you and doesn't really like you and is obviously should not have a relationship as if they're your child. So I just want to show you a couple of the screen grabs from my friend's, not my friend, my mutual. I've never met her in person or whatever, but I love her. I love her work because she has the stuff she says is I wish women would listen to her. We have followed her on this whole journey on TikTok of her realizing she was in a terrible marriage, terrible. As a stay-at-home mom, how she ended up in it, right? I did a video a while back saying, be careful of men who show up when you're in a crisis. If there's a death, something like that, they'll do some really sweet gesture out of nowhere. When you are very vulnerable, like you're mourning somebody, or maybe you've moved to a new city. This was her. She realized later on that that's how she ended up with this guy. In a moment of weakness, a lot of times you end up with the worst dudes because they're nice to you. That's what happened to me. I ended up with that abusive guy because my friend died and my book proposal didn't sell. I was so lost I didn't know what to do. Oh, here's a distraction that almost killed me. And so we've been following her on this journey for years now. I don't know, 2 or 3 years of her realizing she needs to get out, planning, figuring it out. I honestly was afraid maybe she would die because I never know what men are going to do when you finally leave them. He wasn't physically abusive or anything, but you just never know. And now she's out. She's divorced. They, live in separate places, split custody. And she's now talking about the thing that a lot of people, a lot of women don't want to talk about, which is the thing that she now realizes one of the things that kept her in that marriage was the fear of what the hell am I if I'm not keeping this marriage together. So it's this video right here, post-divorce, I realized I didn't know how to just be a person. She talks about she just had to do. She's just so busy doing stuff. She didn't know how to be, how to relax, how to stop, partly because she just couldn't, but she was trying to keep the marriage together because she was a stay-at-home mom. I think she's was a nurse, but then, quit that or whatever to stay at home. I could be wrong about these details, but I think I'm right. To keep the family together. So all of her time was spent doing things and accomplishing things, getting things done, checking that list, right? The to-do list. I swear to God, I know so many women, myself included, but especially moms. I've been working on this. The to-do list is not it's not a tool. It's a weapon. It's a weapon. It's a never-ending list. And it gives us a sense of power when we check something off. But there's always more to add. And if you're not going to add it, he's going to add it. That sense of purpose, getting things done. And now that pressure has been lifted. The weight of keeping it all together for the family, keeping the family together, it's gone. And by that pressure being lifted, she's lost her purpose. She doesn't know who she is. She talks about how now that she's not striving, not struggling, and not accomplishing things, now she doesn't know how to be. And even more importantly, I love this. I don't know what I want, what I like or want, or what I'm interested in. Then she goes on to say, this is why I stayed in my marriage for so long, is for a sense of purpose. And it's not, it's what we've been conditioned. It's what we've been literally conditioned for so long, y'all. And then if we get into these marriages, especially young, and then have kids, even if you don't want that to be your purpose, men will make it your purpose, because all your time and energy is spent doing that. She goes on to talk about how all of this sense of accomplishment and self-worth was tied into being needed, to having a sense of purpose, which was totally tied to her family and keeping this marriage together, taking care of everybody. And what happens when that's gone? And this is a serious crisis for women who are living this life with a very patriarchal minded man, and our own patriarchal conditioning. If we don't question it, we don't. It's like so many women have never even had an opportunity to even be. I would love to know how many women were like wanted to secretly be a mechanic, be an astronaut, be something else, and they got pregnant. They got married and pregnant, and any of their hopes and dreams it just got squashed. So what I love, it's never too late, okay? And one of my favorite things to see is a woman who has come out of this, hopefully earlier than later, when she still has her health and has, maybe has a job or can work or whatever, just doing whatever she wants. And she goes and travels. Or even if she doesn't travel, she starts taking writing class. Like, so women have hired me to be, I'm a writing coach sometimes on the side. I haven't really had much time for it at all in the last couple of years, because this takes so much time. But I'm thinking I might get back into it, because I gotta have multiple streams of income. But so many women always wanted to write, and they just didn't have time, especially if they were mothers. And then so many men will purposely burden them with more labor. Even if you could afford to hire someone to do that stuff. Men don't like you having spare time. If they hate you and if they feel entitled to your work, if spare time means you have time to rethink this, right? They want you exhausted so that you never think about any other reality, because you just don't have time, honestly, right? Do you know how many women who are 10, 20 years older than me are in my drum club? Bang, bang. And some of them have the biggest drums. I'm like, damn, my back can't handle that. I don't know how you can do it. Pottery, pole dancing, there's so many things. And a lot of women have no idea what they love doing, because they've never had time. They've never had time. And, even on the lowest income, and there's obviously huge income disparities, right? There's I'm talking, I'm making generalizations here. But one thing that being married to a man who cannot stand you, or who, just exploits your labor at the very least, you win back so much time from not having to take care of a grown-ass man. Not just in terms of the physical stuff, but the emotional stuff. Oh my God, those moods, walking on eggshells around those moods, trying to predict this stuff, trying to keep the baby alive, the big king baby alive. It is exhausting. And women just win back, if nothing else, time and cognitive space. Time to care about something. Read a book. And I'll end on this. One of the saddest things that would happen as a writing coach, and just as a writer and a creator, and this happened to me, is that so many women will be pursuing this thing they love, this creative thing they love. They're so close, and they get a boyfriend and they disappear. That relationship, that abusive one, when I was like, oh my God, my book didn't sell and I didn't know what to do because I was facing the abyss. What do? I came to Taos to write this book. I thought for sure I had a good chance. I have a blurb from Elizabeth Gilbert. I have a blurb from the Broad City Girls. Like, I have blurbs from all these people. Like, I've got a solid proposal. I was so sure it would sell. It didn't sell. And my friend died. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And then this guy I'd been flirting with, I had been resisting it and I just gave up. I just gave in. What's the worst that could happen? I didn't write a single word as soon as we started. I did not write a single word. I only did a few shows, but that's because I already had the material done and I needed the money. So I did my like one-woman shows, but the material's already done. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't write a single word. I gave up on my writing. Didn't start again until I broke up with him. Men cannot be your sense of purpose. Even motherhood or parenting cannot be your sole sense of purpose. It is a setup. And then what happened, which is what I mentioned in that article, is that once the kids are grown and they're out of the house, what do you start doing? You keep taking care of this big king baby. And now what are you doing? You're taking care of his parents. And you're taking care of your parents. And you're taking care of everybody because your brothers won't do it. Your husband won't do it. And then you're also volunteering because you don't know what to do. There's so many boomer women out there who are like, literally, we're busier now in retirement than they even were when they were working full-time as single moms. Like, I can't believe some of the women in my life, I'm like, you worked insane hours and were a parent. And now that you're retired, like you won't stop volunteering. Like it's like that. And I think it's that sense of purpose. Sometimes it comes down to this codependency, like within you, but it's the collective conditioning of women to be caretakers. That is not what you were put here to do. It's great. We take care of each other. But for women to not know what they like, who they are, what interests them, what they even would do if they had the time, simply because they're trying to keep a marriage together. That is one of the biggest tragedies. Imagine dying that way. And a lot of women, like my mom's age, waited for the men to die so they could start centering themselves and living their life. And then they died both my grandmothers died before their husbands. I'm not saying they were waiting for their husbands to die. One of them probably, because she was a hostage and he was awful to her. And she died way before him. And he had so many girlfriends after that. Oh man, he traveled the world. He lived his best life after that woman he hated, who gave him all those children, that he wouldn't let her have a divorce after she finally kicked the bucket. Oh man, he's free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free. Said that at her funeral. A white man in the South. Imagine that audacity to say that. God! Anyway, let me know what you think. Please follow my Patreon if you can. So I talk about more personal stories. I have lives. I have a live about creativity and how to do that and turn your life into that next Thursday in September 11th. I do travel stories, watch parties, hangouts, all kinds of fun stuff over there. And that's what gives me some security to keep showing up and doing this as well. So thank you, Patreon people. And thank you all for watching. Please let me know if you have any suggestions. The Artist Way is a great place to start. The Artist Way is a great place to start whenever I'm feeling lost and I don't know how to kickstart this. Like, what do I do? Anyway, let me know what you think. Suggestions in the comments. Don't put links or the AI moderator will delete them. That's not me doing that. And hit the subscription button, notifications, leave comments, like, share, all that stuff. Thank y'all so much. And let me know if you heard the comment song. Camping with Mo's comment song. Watching Mo's, watching another dog. Camping with Mo's comment song. This was a lake we found one day. Look at that and yups. And over on Patreon I've been doing. Oh, look at that sweet baby rolling around. Look at him rolling. He says happy, his little happy life. with me. He's such a gros cochon. Look at him. This is his stress face. Look at him anyway over on Patreon. I'm doing stuff, lots of stuff over there, including how to like camp and do tents and survival stuff. Patreon, that's where extra stuff is over there. Personal life and stuff like this going on over there. Thank you for watching and let me know if you saw the comments on